tonight on First at 9 this Thursday, the 12th of June 2025. Aviation tragedy. Air India flight with 242 people on board crashes in Ahmedabad. Only a single survivor found so far. Local power. SJB, UNP, SLPP and the People's Alliance unite to establish power in a number of local government councils. Debt relief. 41% of small and medium enterprise owners burdened by over 70 billion rupees of debt have reached out to banks to discuss personal debt restructuring programs, reveals Deputy Minister of Finance. Marine alert. Plastic pellets from a container ship capsized off the coast of Kerala wash up on Sri Lanka's northern shores. Marine Environment Protection Authority reassures of no health risk to Sri Lanka at present.
Cinec Campus Open Day. මේ මස 3 වෙනි දින උදෑසන 9 සිට Cinec Campus පරිශ්‍රයේදී.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9 on Sri Lanka's premium news provider, Derana. I'm Tharindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. In your top story this evening, an Air India flight with 242 people on board crashed shortly after taking off from Ahmedabad airport in Western India this afternoon. Only a single survivor has been found so far. The flight crashed into a medical students' hostel less than a minute after takeoff. Air India flight AI-171 crashed into Meghani Nagar, a residential area in Ahmedabad today, minutes after taking off from the Ahmedabad airport at 1:38 p.m. 242 people were on board the Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner bound for London Gatwick Airport in the United Kingdom. Notably, this is the first time a Boeing 787 Dreamliner has crashed in the 14 years since the model was introduced. There were 169 Indian nationals, 53 British nationals, 1 Canadian national and 7 Portuguese nationals on board. India's aviation regulator, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, said the aircraft gave a mayday call to air traffic control, but no response was given by the aircraft thereafter. Flight tracking website Flight Radar said it received the last signal from the aircraft while it was 625 feet above the ground. The London-bound plane crashed into a medical students' hostel. Rescue teams were mobilized and all efforts were made to rescue and provide medical care for the survivors. The local police chief in Ahmedabad said at least 204 bodies were recovered from the crash. More remain under the rubble. The city police commissioner said there appear to be no survivors from the deadly crash. However, police later said rescuers had found one survivor. Many medical students who were residing at the hostel are also feared dead. Following the crash, the Ahmedabad airport suspended all flight operations, but they were later resumed. The cause of the crash is yet to be determined, but the aircraft was reportedly carrying a substantial fuel load for a long-haul flight to London. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a post on X stated that the tragedy has stunned and saddened India and added that he has been in touch with ministers and authorities who are working to assist those affected. Sri Lanka's Foreign Ministry, meanwhile, conveying condolences to the families of the victims of the tragic incident, said Sri Lanka is deeply shocked and saddened by the loss of many lives. Sri Lankan President Anura Dissanayake also offered condolences to the families of all those affected. President Anura Dissanayake, who is on an official state visit to the Federal Republic of Germany, met with German Foreign Minister Dr. Johann Wadephol yesterday. During the meeting, discussions focused on bolstering Sri Lanka-Germany ties, including cooperation in trade, digital economy and vocational training. The visit to Germany marks President Disanayake's 5th state visit since assuming office.
Upon his arrival at the Bellevue Palace in Berlin yesterday, President Anna Dissanayake was welcomed by his German counterpart, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, with full state honours, including a ceremonial guard of honour accorded by the German armed forces. President Dissanayake then inspected the military parade. Following the official state welcome, the Sri Lankan and German presidents held bilateral talks. President Anna Dissanayake also met German Foreign Minister Dr. Johann Wadefull at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in Berlin yesterday. The duo engaged in bilateral discussions, with the talks focusing on identifying novel avenues for expanding bilateral cooperation, particularly in the areas of trade, the digital economy, investment and vocational training, in line with the priorities of the Sri Lankan government. The meeting was also attended by Sri Lankan Foreign Minister Vijitha Herath as well as Sri Lankan Ambassador to Germany Varuni Muthukumarana.
සිනෙක් කැම්පස් ඕපන් ඩේ මැයි මස 3 වැනි දින උදෑසන 9 සිට සිනෙක් කැම්පස් පරිශ්‍රයේදී
Representatives of several opposition parties stated at a press conference today that they will collaborate to form a joint opposition in local government bodies where no single party or group holds a majority. Meanwhile, multiple opposition parties secured opportunities to establish power in various local government institutions today.
In the Akurana Pradeshya Sabha in the Kandy district, where the Samagi Jana Balawegaya secured 13 seats, the post of chairman was won by the SJB's Istihas Imaduddin. He contested the position against Tariq Ali of the National People's Power. Imaduddin was elected chairman with a majority of 3 votes, having received support from members of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, the United National Party and 3 members of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. Meanwhile, in the Kadugannava Urban Council, also in the Kandy district, Lakshita Beratna of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya was elected chairman, defeating the NPP candidate. The SJB secured the position with the support of the United National Party, the People's Alliance, the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and members of Independent Group Number 1. The election for chairman of the Haldu Mulla Pradeshya Sabha, where the National People's Power holds 9 seats and the Samagi Jana Balawegaya holds 6, was also held today. NPP's Jagat Kumara Rajapaksa won the election, defeating the SJB candidate with the support of 2 members from the Tamil Progressive Alliance. In the Udubaddo Pradeshya Sabha in the Kurunagala district, Nihal Jai Singha of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna was elected chairman with a majority of votes. He received support from members of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya and the United National Party. The chairman of the Kuliyapiti Pradeshya Sabha, where the National People's Power holds 21 seats, was also elected today. The former chairman Vijay Siriyekanayaka of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna was re-elected with a majority of votes. Meanwhile, the general secretaries of several opposition parties held a joint press conference in Colombo this afternoon to address the establishment of power in local government bodies where no single party or group holds a clear majority.
We will establish power in all these local government councils as a joint opposition. Our main objective is to form joint opposition administrations in over 100 councils. We have decided to form a collective opposition front wherever possible in order to stand against the current regime and protect the freedom of this country.
The joint opposition was formed on behalf of the people with the intention of preventing the government from taking control of local councils. We are committed to working together without internal conflict. Although there may be rumours suggesting otherwise, we assure you this is not the end but the beginning of a new journey.
ඉදිරි කාලය තුලදී ඒ පිහිටවන ලද පළාත් පාලන ආයතනවල ඉතාමත් ඉහළ ගුණාත්මක සේවයක් අදාළ බල ප්‍රදේශවල ජනතාවට ලබා දීම වෙනුවෙනුත් ජාතික මට්ටමිනුත් අපි ඒ කමිටුවක් පත් කරලා දිස්ත්‍රික් මට්ටමින් සහ ඒ අධීක්ෂණ ක්‍රියාවලිය සිදු කිරීමටත් විශේෂයෙන්ම අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
Sarvajana Bale has supported us in many local councils. As many councils are yet to be finalized, we have requested their continued support and we are receiving it.
මගේ දැනීමේ හැටියට ඉලක්කම් ටික හරි. ඒ නිසා ස්ථීර වශයෙන්ම අපිට කොළඹ මහනගර සභාවේ බලය පිහිටවන්න පුළුවන් කියලා විශ්වාසය අපිට තිබෙනවා.
The Department of Virology of the Medical Research Institute has identified that between 9 and 13% of respiratory patients in Sri Lanka have contracted the new strain of COVID. Joining a press briefing convened by the Health Promotion Bureau today, Professor Dushantha Madagedara of the Wimber University's Faculty of Medicine said 2 patients who contracted the virus have died so far, but added that both were suffering from underlying conditions.
According to the Department of Virology, between 9% and 13% of respiratory patients in Sri Lanka have contracted the new strain of COVID. The severity of it is minimal. However, people above 65 years of age with low immunity due to medication, cancer, kidney disease or diabetes have to take precautionary measures as it can be severe for them. Citizens have received the COVID vaccine which have provided some protection. However, since some time has passed, the immunity from that may have decreased. Even so, we have built some immunity towards the virus through social interaction and exposure.
ලංකාවේ මරණ දෙකක් වාර්තා වෙලා තියෙනවා. දෙන්නම සංකෘතතාවයෙන් වෙච්ච වෙනත් ප්‍රශ්න තියෙන රෝගී.
General Manager of the Marine Environment Protection Authority, Jagat Gunasekara, informs that plastic pallets from a Liberian-flagged container ship that was capsized 2 weeks ago off the coast of Kochi in the Indian state of Kerala have begun to wash up on Sri Lanka's northern shores. Speaking to the media, Gunasekara said there is no immediate health risk to Sri Lanka due to the leakage of chemicals from the shipwreck, but added that an assessment would be conducted on the impact on marine life.
Liberian-flagged container ship MSC Elsa 3 capsized approximately 38 nautical miles southwest of Kochi in the Indian province of Kerala on May 25th. All 24 crew members were subsequently rescued by the Indian Coast Guard. The 28-year-old ship, which carried 640 containers, including 13 with hazardous cargo and over 450 metric tons of marine fuel, eventually sank about 14.6 nautical miles offshore. However, concerns regarding potential environmental fallout along the Kerala coast grew as Indian authorities confirmed the leakage of marine fuel, including 367.1 tons of very low sulfur fuel oil and 84.44 tons of diesel. According to the latest updates by Indian media, a criminal case has been filed against the shipping company MSC. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka's Ministry of Environment convened a press briefing today to inform the environmental impact on Sri Lankan coastline caused by the shipwreck and subsequent fuel leakage.
An emergency situation has been declared by the state of Kerala regarding its coastal area, and measures are being taken to address the ongoing pollution. Around 12 containers were found to contain substances such as calcium carbide, which could cause hazards such as the emission of harmful gases if mixed with ocean water. You may recall the Express Pearl incident, and in this case similar elements have been released into the ocean from this ship without a fire being involved. On May 25th, the Sri Lanka Navy notified us of this situation, and we have been on alert since then. On May 28th, international organizations warned us that the debris from the shipwreck might reach our shores depending on sea conditions and ocean currents. On May 30th, the Indian Coast Guard confirmed this, and yesterday we observed for the first time that debris had arrived on our shores, especially in Delft Island. Additionally, the beaches in Nainitiv were also impacted. Small amounts of plastic pellets were spotted on the beaches of Mana, Kilinochchi and Chilau today. We immediately informed the National Aquatic Resources Research and Development Agency, the Ministry of Fisheries and the Ministry of Tourism to conduct necessary studies on the economic and environmental impact on the fishing and tourism industries. We also notified the Department of Wildlife Conservation to assess the impact on wildlife, particularly marine species. In accordance with the National Plan for Responding to Oil Spills and Other Emergencies, we are preparing immediate action to clean the sea area. From today onwards, we will begin cleaning up plastic pellets found on beaches, and the operation will be expanded tomorrow. According to the Department of Meteorology, stronger winds and ocean waves are expected this week, and more plastic pellets may wash up on various beaches. Therefore, we kindly request the public to report newly deposited plastic pellets on beaches by calling our hotline 1949. We also have an operations room that operates 24 hours a day to manage the situation. At present, present, there are no health risks to be concerned about.
සෞඛ්‍යමය වශයෙන් බිය වෙන්න හේතුවක් නැහැ.
Meanwhile, when contacted by Ada Derana, the Minister of Fisheries, Aquatic and Ocean Resources said a fishing ban has not been issued at the moment in view of the ongoing situation.
The report of the nationwide animal census conducted by the Minister of Agriculture on the 15th of May was published today. According to the statistics of the report, the total number of toque macaques, monkeys, peacocks and giant squirrels in the country exceeds 13 million.
An island-wide census of selected wild animals that damage agricultural crops was carried out on the 15th of March from 8 am to 8:05 am in a bid to address rampant crop damage caused by toque macaques, monkeys, peacocks and giant squirrels. The special committee appointed by the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands, Livestock and Irrigation to address crop damage caused by wild animals said the point counting method, widely implemented in Britain to conduct wildlife censuses, was used for the animal census in Sri Lanka.
Wild animals go in search of food early in the morning after not consuming anything since the previous night. The animals everywhere were counted within those 5 minutes.
The total population of toque macaques in Sri Lanka is 5.17 million. The total population of monkeys is recorded at 1.74 million. A total population of 2.66 million giant squirrels is reported. A total population of peacock is reported as 4.24 million.
According to the census, the highest population of toque macaques is reported from the Kandy district with 634,668. The highest population of monkeys is reported from Anuradhapura with 160,315. The highest numbers of giant squirrels and peacocks were recorded from the Kurunegala district with the numbers reaching 546,715 and 621,517 respectively.
The expense to conduct the animal census was to print these papers and hand them out. There are 2 vouchers. A payment of 2.478 million has been made to the government press. We printed 7 million papers and the cost per paper is 30 cents. 4 vehicles were used to distribute these papers across the country's 25 districts. Some were transported by bus. The total expense of the animal census is 2.71 million rupees.
A number of recommendations have been presented in the report to keep the animal population under control.
Waste mismanagement has also contributed to the increase in the animal population. We recommend proper waste management as it is crucial to resolve the matter. Sterilization programs should also be implemented. Rules and regulations for wildlife management should also be formulated. Our main recommendation is to appoint community crop protection committees in areas with dense populations of animals. This cannot be completed overnight. We have presented this report with the recommendation that a defined plan should be implemented.
නිශ්චිත වැඩසටහනක යා යුතුයි කියන නිර්දේශය තුල තමයි අපි මේ වාර්තාව ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තියෙන්නේ.
The Department of Meteorology issued a red advisory for strong winds and rough seas tomorrow, while forecasting that rains would continue over the next few days. Due to the effect of the active southwest monsoon, the sea areas of the coasts extending from Chilau to Kankasanture via Putlam and Mana and from Gol to Potterville via Hambantota will be very rough with strong wind gusts of up to 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. In the meantime, showers are expected at times in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central, southern and northwestern provinces. Heavy rainfall of about 100 millimeters is likely at some places in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Nuwara, Kandy, Gol and Matara districts. Strong winds of about 50 to 60 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slopes of the central hills and in the northern, north-central, western, Sabaragamuwa, northwestern and southern provinces and in the Trincomalee district. Welcome back to First at 9. Now taking you to business news. Deputy Minister of Finance and Planning Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma revealed that 41.6% of small and medium enterprise owners burdened by over 70 billion rupees of debt have reached out to banks to discuss personal debt restructuring programs. He went on to say that 78 SME owners have started to repay debt, adding that the deadline by which SME owners must enter into agreements with banks has been extended until June 30th.
මාර්තු මස 31 වෙනිදායින් අවසාන වෙන කාල පරිච්ඡේදය තුල අපි
During the period ending on the 31st of March, we called upon small and medium enterprise owners to hold discussions with the banking system regarding restructuring their debts. As per data gathered, SME owners who have obtained loans totaling 160 billion rupees collectively have qualified to hold discussions with banks. Out of the selective SME owners, those who have obtained loans totaling 70 billion rupees have reached out to banks and discussed debt restructuring programs. 78 SME owners have thereby commenced debt repayment. 41.6% of SME owners have connected with the banking system, thereby utilizing the relief program put in place by the government during the respective period. SME owners whose loans amount to less than 10 million rupees benefit from a 65% cut-off from the interest if they agree to repay debt under this program. There was a request to increase this limit to 25 million rupees. Thereby, this opportunity will be provided for those who have obtained loans amounting to less than 25 million rupees. Banks are now allowed to process requests of SME owners to sell properties if another client is willing to present a higher bid to purchase the property which was used to secure the loan. This will be allowed subject to conditions. Under the situation which prevailing previously, an SME owner who is facing a stage 3 loan default risk cannot obtain more loans going forward. Thereby, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka recommended that following consideration of facts such as cash flow and the ability to repay debt, SME owners who qualify will be considered for loan facilities. The deadline by which SME owners must enter into agreement with banks, which was fixed for the 15th, has been extended until the 30th. This program will now benefit willful defaulters.
Willful defaulters ලට මේ තුලින් ප්‍රතිලාභ ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Has the IMF indicated a review date after the tariff adjustment of electricity has been done?
The indications that we have been given is the date is yet to be fixed. So we are awaiting information. I'm sure they will consider the fact that the revisions have taken place and the compliances that we have demonstrated as part of the program within the framework that we were working on.
There was a delegation from the Sri Lankan government that went to Washington for discussions on the US tariffs. Can you please update us on progress and what the next steps may be?
Our expectation is very clearly to retain the competitive advantage we had as a nation prior to the tariff situation arose. We have had very productive discussions. They have indicated their approach, their angles from particularly considering the trade deficit, and I'm sure they are being considered positively as of now. That is the indication we have been provided as of now, and the discussions are ongoing. This is not a matter targeting Sri Lanka. It's a much larger global situation based on the outcome on that large global picture. Our outcome relating to Sri Lanka also will be decided.
The World Bank forecasts Sri Lanka's economic growth to slow to 3.5% in 2025, signalling a loss of recovery momentum. Despite considerable recovery in 2024 seen in industrial output and construction, growth is expected to moderate due to persistent structural challenges and global uncertainties. The World Bank highlights that long-term recovery hinges on structural reforms, sustainable debt management and resilience to external shocks. Meanwhile, other South Asian countries are set to perform better, with regional growth projected at 5.8% in 2026 and an average of 6.2% in 2026 to 2027. However, risks like global trade tensions, tighter financial conditions and natural disasters pose threats to the region's outlook. The Colombo Bourse closed on a mixed note today, with price gains in counters such as Cargill's, LB Finance and Sampath Bank. The benchmark all-share price index climbed 0.02% to settle at 17,661.45 points. The more liquid S&P Sri Lanka 20 declined by 0.21% to end at 5,275.01 points. Market turnover crossed 3.6 billion rupees. The diversified financial sector was the top contributor to turnover, followed by the banking sector. Foreign participation in market activity remained at subdued levels, with foreigners closing as net buyers, purchasing shares worth 108 million rupees. And with that, here's a look at today's exchange rates. And that's all for tonight from First at 9. Thank you for joining. Have a great night.